For years, if you said the things that the New York Times is saying now, that CNN is saying now, that the presidency of the United States is saying now, that the United Nations is even saying now about Russia and the NATO proxy conflict in Ukraine, you would be labeled as a Putin puppet. You would be blacklisted on some Ukrainian Mirovaret's website. You would be deplatformed, banned from all these websites, as I was. All of those things were done unto me. Now, you know, all these different media outlets and apparatuses of power are saying these very things. They're saying the things that we said 4 years ago. So I want to go through a few of these because it's pretty incredible. The International Court of Justice, underneath the United Nations, actually announced that they are upholding Russia's position and accepting its counterclaims against Ukraine for hearing under 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crime and Genocide. All objections raised by Kiev have also been dismissed. So what this means is the International Court of Justice took a look at the claims that Russia put forward that, yes, Ukraine was committing acts punishable by the crimes of genocide against the people of the Donbas from 2014 to 2022. They unalived 15,000 people, civilians. And that's how this all began. That's not how it all began. It began in long ago, but, you know, 2004 coup, 2008 coup, and then now 2014 to 2022, we saw the mass unaliving after the coup in Maidan. Well, now the International Court of Justice has said, actually, no, Russia does have accurate claims. They do have, they have claims grounded in reality. We are going to hear them out. And all of the objections that have been raised by Kiev have been tossed aside. Jimmy Dore responded to this, said, 99% of the people I know fully swallowed the pro-war propaganda surrounding Ukraine. The International Court shows that the war was started by Ukraine, not by Russia, and that Russia is not committing a genocide, but there is evidence of Ukraine committing a genocide. Just like these people can't accept that they were lied to in a million different ways about COVID, they can't wrap their brain around the idea that they were lied into another BS war to enrich the military-industrial complex. This will not be covered on the corrupt, bot, corporate news outlets that most people consume, so most people will never know these facts, and our country will continue to spiral into decline and bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. Keep that in mind as we go through this story, okay? But yes, this is real. The International Court of Justice has upheld the Russian Federation's position and accepted its counterclaims against Ukraine for hearing under the 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. The ICJ's ruling, rendered on December 5th, marks a logical development following Ukraine's futile attempts to hold Russia accountable for initiating the special military operation. This litigation was instigated by the Kiev regime and its Western sponsors as far back as February 2022. On November 18, 2024, the Russian side submitted to the court a substantial body of evidence exceeding 10,000 pages, which substantiates the criminal Kiev regime's perpetration of genocide against the Russian and Russian-speaking population of Donbas. The evidentiary materials included documentation of over 140 incidents of deliberate targeting of civilians in Donbas, corroborated by testimonies from more than 300 witnesses and victims, as well as analyses and investigations. So there you have it. The ICJ is now saying, actually, yeah, you were committing war crimes. You were specifically targeting ethnic Russians in the Donbas. We are going to hear this out, and we're not going to listen to any of your objections anymore. Well, not only do we have the ICJ coming to reality 4 years too late, actually much more than 4 years too late, we also have the New York Times. Congratulations. Congratulations to the New York Times. Well, I think literally wrote an article saying I'm a Putin puppet because I said these very things. They wrote this attack piece about me saying all these horrific things because we pointed out this, but we pointed it out years too early. That was our crime. That was our only crime, being years too early to the truth. This community's only crime. Zelensky's government sabotage oversight, allowing corruption to fester. Ukrainian leaders blame independent advisors for failing to prevent graft. A Times investigation found that President Vladimir Zelensky's own administration removed guardrails. You don't say. Oh my goodness. They're corrupt? You don't say. They're a corrupt country? Zelensky's administration has stacked boards with loyalists, left seats empty, or stalled them from being set up at all. Leaders in Kiev even rewrote company charters to limit oversight, keeping the government in control and allowing hundreds of millions of dollars to be spent without outsiders poking around. Oh boy, the New York Times, they think it's just hundreds of millions of dollars. Boy, oh boy, do I got a news flash for the New York Times. It's much more than hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? So they talk also about, Mindich, who just fled to Israel because of the corruption scheme. They talk about Yermak, who is saying he's going to go to the front line, and now he's actually not going to go to the front line after he was exposed for being a part of this corruption scheme. He's going to try to flee to Israel or something, too. So, congratulations to the ICJ. You finally got it right. Congratulations to the New York Times. You finally got it right. And also, congratulations to Donald Trump. He got it right. Actually, I'm going to withhold my congratulations to Donald Trump because every other day, as you all know, the script flips and he does nothing of substance, almost nothing of substance, to actually stop this madness. But worth listening. This is a few seconds from his recent conversation in Politico.
Your team has been going back and forth between Putin and Zelensky with various drafts of a peace deal. Which country right now is in the stronger negotiating position?
Well, there can be no question about it. It's Russia. It's a much bigger country. It's a war that should have never happened. Frankly, it wouldn't have happened if I were president, and it didn't happen for 4 years. I watched that taking place, and I said, wow, they're going to cause some problems here. And it started, and it could have evolved into World War III, frankly. I think it's probably not going to be happening now. I think if I weren't president, you could have had World War III. I think you would have had a much bigger problem than you have right now. But right now, it's a big problem. It's a big problem for Europe, and they're not handling it well.
So do something about it. So do something about it. Why are we just going to sit here and talk like, this is a problem?
Is it time for Ukraine to hold an election, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time.
So do something about it. Force him to have elections.
Hasn't been doing particularly well. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's an important time to hold an election. They're using war not to hold an election, but I would think the Ukrainian people would, should have that choice, and maybe Zelensky would win. I don't know who would win, but they haven't had an election in a long time.
I don't think Zelensky's winning. I don't think Zelensky's winning. And let's be real here. Trump was the one who first sent javelins to Ukraine. He was the one who started that whole thing. So let's not sit here and act like that Trump is not to blame for this crisis and the senseless murder of all of these innocent men and people, because Trump sent weapons to these militants that were used to slaughter innocent people in the Donbas even before 2022. Okay. And, the writing's on the wall, folks. I don't know what else to say. Kiev now has made it official policy to send conscripts straight to the front line. This, of course, has been going on for some time, but now we have it in writing. Newly drafted Ukrainian men will soon be sent directly to the frontline brigades, where they will receive their basic military training. So this is the difference now in the policy. Not only are they sending men with little, 2 weeks of training to the front line in Ukraine, they're literally drafting people. That day, the next day, they're sending them to the front line, and they're going to be doing their very short training on the front line. How that works is kind of beyond me. I don't understand that. If you're on the front line, you're on the front line, and you have to be prepared at that point to defend yourself. Even if you're in a neighboring city, anything could happen. What you need to understand is Russia's taking 100 square kilometers of territory each and every week in the Zaporozhye region. So You send someone to the front line, they have no training. Well, by the next week, they're going to be literally not 50 kilometers back from the front line. They're going to be right on it. They're going to have Russian troops storming towards them, encircling them. This is now official policy. The shift in mobilization procedures was outlined on Friday by Pavel Polisa, the deputy head of the presidential office responsible for overseeing conscription. It's sickening. Kiev's mobilization efforts have failed to replace battlefield losses, prompting attempts to streamline the process. It's just basic math. They don't have enough. And keep in mind, at the same time Trump is saying this, at the same time the New York Times is saying this, at the same time that CNN is saying this, the ICJ is saying this, what is the U.S. Congress doing? Drafting bills for another $400 million for Ukraine. Yes, if you can believe it. Anna Paulina Luna, Congresswoman, says, so tell me, how is the U.S. not funding the persecution of Christians in Ukraine when we're literally giving money to the government carrying it out? Stop sending American tax dollars to Ukraine. The U.S. government should not be giving $400 million to Ukraine. It should be zero. Actually, we should be collecting money from Ukraine at this point, especially with Zelensky refusing to respond to the president on the peace deal. The Ukrainian government was just busted for public corruption, and you can guarantee money laundering is involved. The fact that Congress is still sending them funding is horrifying. This needs to be taken out of the NDAA. National Defense Authorization Act. It's the annual Pentagon funding bill. And if you can believe it, they're still putting $400 million for Ukraine in it, despite the fact that we see, everyone sees, everyone is admitting, even those that are the biggest Zelensky propagandists and defenders on the earth are admitting that, yes, this is the most corrupt country in the world. Yes, they are stealing all of our taxpayer dollars. And yes, when they get caught, they go and flee to the next most corrupt country on the world, or maybe the most corrupt country in the world is Israel. They go flee to that country. So they're all working in unison with one another. I can't believe that they're still think the American people are that stupid that we'd still support something like this, but we're long past that. We are far, far past that. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.